one of the sort of catchphrases we use is everybody's right. And of course, it doesn't mean everybody's equally right. I mean, some are more right than others, but everybody has a piece of the truth. I can't imagine a human being at any point in our history that would latch on to a worldview, to an idea that was 100% wrong.
You didn't meet my grandmother, did you?
Yeah. But I just don't think the human mind can create 100% error.
Right.
As we say, nobody's smart enough to be wrong all the time. And so there's some true but partial truths in all of these areas. And this includes going all the way back to the pre-modern times, 40, 50,000 years ago. The pre-modern era was extremely strong in spiritual practices and in what we call states of consciousness, and plugging into deeper and deeper and deeper and higher and higher and higher states of consciousness that the majority of them maintained that if you took this practice to its end, you had something like an enlightenment or an awakening or a metamorphosis or a transformation. It was called the Great Liberation, moksha, freedom. And this, for the majority of human life on this planet, was held as the summum bonum, as the greatest good a human being could have. And yet, as we continued to grow and evolve, and particularly as we moved into modernity, then science tended to step to the foreground. And the form of religion that was most common, which is often called mythic literal, like fundamentalist religion. Moses really did part the Red Sea. Elijah really did go straight to heaven while he was still alive in his chariot. Lot's wife really was turned to a pillar of salt, those kinds of things. Those tended to be looked down on. And science, with its evidence and its repeatable truths, tended to displace religion as a source of truth. But there was one other type of spirituality that wasn't being included in that, and that is the one type, the mythic literal type, that indeed tended to have problems. But there was another type which wasn't a belief system, and it wasn't just a mythic narrative, but was actually a psychotechnology of consciousness transformation. There was a way to actually transform human consciousness from this sort of narrow, finite, limited, skin-encapsulated ego to what the Sufis call the supreme identity, an identity with spirit and all of manifestation. Mm-hmm. Zen calls these experiences satori, and a lot of people have heard that name. Those continued to be as true as when they were first introduced. But unfortunately, they got mixed up with the mere belief systems, and all of them tended to get tossed out in the West.
Yes.
And so, well into modernity, we have Nietzsche saying God is dead. And that's, in essence, one of the things that happened. But we can still go back and look at these actual meditative practices, these contemplative practices. Mindfulness is becoming well known as one example. Those were created as ways to awaken to this ultimate reality.